Hello traders and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the News Manager EA. Now one of the biggest problems that traders face is not knowing when news events are going to happen and not understanding the potential impact of a news event. Now you can see that the News Manager has pulled in loads of news events and we have lots of data on each of those events. So let me show you how the News Manager can actually help. Well, first of all, it's useful for manual traders and algo traders. So if you have an EA which does not have an inbuilt news filter, you can actually use the News Manager EA to control your other EAs, and I'll come to that later on in the video. So for now then, if you're a manual trader and you're about to place a trade but you don't know when the next news event is due, there's a very easy solution. We simply click on this button here and it will actually draw the news event on the chart. Now currently I only have high impact news events selected, but if I tick the medium and low impact boxes, you'll see that more lines have appeared on the chart and we now have more news events actually in the window. So what this means is it's going to be very difficult now for a trader to not know a news event is about to happen. So this yellow line is the next scheduled event. Down here you can see there's a little number 2, and that means it's actually 2 events at this time. So if I click on this box here, it's going to open up another little window and we can now see that it's the Baker Hughes oil rig count. Now you'll notice there's a little box here that says alert, and if I just tick this box you're going to see a little bell icon has appeared. Now this means it's going to actually set an alert on this event, so it's going to tell us that this event is going to happen. If I quickly go to the settings window, you can see that it's currently set to have a pop-up. Okay, so a pop-up will open on a chart and tell us a news event is about to happen. I can also tick this box and that will send an alert to your phone, to your mobile, and it will basically alert you however many minutes you set here before the event. So in this case, 10 minutes before, you're going to get a message on your phone. You're also going to get a pop-up. You've also got a line drawn on the chart. It's very, very difficult now for traders to be caught out by news if they use a tool like this. So that's the first major feature. But what else can the News Manager do? Well as just looking at events that haven't happened, we can look at historical events and particularly the data to understand the potential impact of the event. In other words, how many pips is this news event likely to move the market? We can even look which way it's likely to move it. Will it go up or down? Does this event have a tendency to be bullish or bearish? So let's have a look at that now. Across the bottom we have 4 tabs, okay? So we have past events, future events, then we have by impact, and then per event. Let's have a look at these one at a time. So we're currently on the past events tab. Let me just get rid of the low and medium just so we're not looking at loads of data. Now obviously we can scroll back through any of these events, and in fact if you want to just increase the size you can see all of the data very easily if you put it in the full window. Now these are events that have already happened and this is the sort of standard data that's released, but we've taken this a little bit further. You're going to see that in the next couple of tabs. The future tab is obviously events that are yet to happen. So let's say one of these events is of particular interest and you want to understand the impact of that event. So here we have, for example, GDP quarter on quarter. Now, how do we find out the impact of GDP quarter on quarter? If we go into the impact tab, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to find that event, and here it is. Now it currently says the impact is 0, and that's just because I need to press this button and load the data. So now it's actually loaded the data in, and we can see that this is the average now of all the events that have happened for the total amount of history that this broker has provided. Now that might be 10 years, and that is 212 points, so that's 21 pips, okay? Bearing in mind we're on pound US dollar, we can look at additional currencies as well if we want. Now when I click on this, it's actually populated the next tab. So if I go into the next tab, what we'll see is it's now got the entire history of that event. So we're now looking at GDP quarter on quarter, and we can see how many of the events were bullish or bearish and the amount of points that it moved. We can actually sort by this, okay? So we can see that the biggest that the most it's ever moved is 152 pips. And if we want to see this event, I can simply open the price graph, and it's actually opened the price graph of what happened on this particular event. So the cross in the middle, this is the very moment that news was released. Okay, and then we can see that we have this chart. Each one of these grids appears to be, let's have a quick look, about 20 points. Okay, so we can see how far it's moved And this is for 100 minutes after the event and 100 minutes before the event. Again, you can change this in the settings. If we go to data settings, you can have 1 minute bars, or you can have ticks. You can have it in points or percentage, and you can obviously choose the duration of the data. Now what we can do is we can go through each event in turn, and we can sort of see what happened, okay? So this allows you to very quickly understand the potential impact of an event. We can also add additional currencies on here, which means you don't just have to look at pound US dollar. You could also look at Aussie US dollar or anything else you want, and you can combine them and actually see how it affected different instruments. Now, another thing we can do is we can actually open up this one, which is event graph. And this is now the history of all the events that have happened, okay? And we can also see the volatility. So you can just select any event. You'll see that it's actually scrolling over here as I'm clicking. So we can select any event we want, like this one here, which was crazy. And it will bring up the relevant data. The next thing we can do is we can have a look at the summary, okay? So what this tab is doing is it's looking at all of the events that have happened, and it's now doing some totals for you. So it's showing you how many were bullish, how many were bearish. It's also looking at the forecast, okay? So when the event was correctly forecast, in other words, if they expected the figure to be a certain amount and it was that amount, did the market go up or down? And then what about when the forecast was wrong? How many times did it go up or down when they got the data wrong? Okay, so you can see very quickly now, you can work out what's likely to happen based on the data that you have. Okay, lastly then, let's have a look at the news manager's ability to manage other EAs. So if you're running another EA on this account, and it does not have news awareness, it does not have the ability to read news events and then change its settings, what you can actually do is you can use the news manager to enable or disable that EA around news events. So you can see here we have high, medium and low, so we can choose the impact, and we've got some little drop downs, and we have before and after. And then you've got some predetermined time periods for you to choose from. So for example, you could say 30 minutes before a high impact news event, turn off this EA, okay? And then 30 minutes after, turn it back on. So here you can see that that EA is on Aussie US dollar. Now currently there is no event due on that, but if there was an event due, the name would be here. So it would say NFP or something like that. And basically what that means is 30 minutes before NFP, it's actually going to disable this EA from trading, and then 30 minutes after, it's going to turn it back on. Now what this means is it's going to stop that EA from opening a trade in a very volatile time when news is due. And this has been proven to drastically reduce drawdown, okay? Because you're going to get in when the market is calmer and more predictable. And that actually is the downfall of a lot of these automated systems. So this is a really, really useful feature. Now, the News Manager EA is available on the MQL5 marketplace and also on our website. And I'll give you the links to both of those in the description. Thanks for watching.